Hi friends, welcome to IBS, the much awaited Indian Overseas Bank LBO 2026 notification is out, this time with 250 vacancies. So let's look at all the important details included in this notification. So let's look at some important dates. The opening date of the online registration is from 8th August and the closing date of registration is 24th August. The date of payment of application fees is from 8th to 24th August. For applying, you must visit the IOB website, that is www.iob.bank.in. Then let's move on to the vacancies. As mentioned earlier, there's a total of 250 vacancies this year, that is split into 4. For Tamil Nadu state, it is 100. For Karnataka, it is 50. For Maharashtra, again 50. And for Gujarat, 50 vacancies. And you can also see how the vacancies are split into. Now, some important information to note is that application can be given only for one state. That is, if you're applying for Tamil Nadu, you'll not be eligible to apply for any of the other 3 states. Then, selected candidates will be posted in the state that they have selected for the first 12 years or up to their promotion as a Scale 4 officer, whichever is earliest. Then, candidates should be proficient in the local language of the state they have selected. If they have not studied the local language in 10th or 12th standard, then they have to give the local language proficiency test. If you have studied the local language in 10th or 12th standard, you are exempt from this test. Then, moving on to increment. If you have worked as an officer in a scheduled commercial bank for 1 year, you are eligible for 1 advance increment. If you have worked for 2 years, you are eligible for 2 advance increments, and that is the maximum. Maximum you will receive 2 increments. And it is subject to the fact that existing job profile must match with the job profile of Scale 1 Generalist Officer of IOB. Candidates working with subsidiaries of scheduled commercial banks will be eligible for 1 advance increment. Prior service will not be considered for any service seniority. Now let's move on to the eligibility criteria. The candidate applying must be an Indian citizen, and in terms of age criteria, the minimum age limit is 20 and maximum is 30 as on 1st August 2026, and there is relaxation in it. For SC/ST category, it is 5 years. For OBC, it is 3 years. For PWD candidates, it is 12 years and so on. And now in terms of educational qualification, the candidate must possess a degree in any discipline from a recognized university, and the candidate must also possess a valid mark sheet or degree certification at the time of applying. Now let's look at the application and examination fees. The application fees for SC, ST and PW category is 175 rupees, and for general, EWS and OBC category, it is 850 rupees. The basic pay for an assistant manager Scale 1 is 48,480. There will be a probation period of 2 years from the date of joining the bank. The candidates who are selected will have to execute an indemnity bond of 2 lakh rupees for rendering service for a minimum period of 3 years. Now the most important topic, the selection process. It consists of 3 steps. First, the online examination. Then the local language proficiency test, which is applicable only if you haven't studied the local language in 10th or 12th standard. And then the personal interview. Let's look at the structure of the online examination. The topics are 4, which first is reasoning and computer aptitude, but there will be 30 questions for 60 marks, time duration of 1 hour. Then general economy or banking awareness, 40 questions, 40 marks with a time duration of half an hour. Then data analysis and interpretation, 30 questions for 60 marks, time duration of 1 hour. And then English knowledge, 40 questions for 40 marks with a time duration of half an hour. So there will be a total of 140 questions for 200 marks with a time duration of 3 hours. Now, something to note is that for reasoning, banking awareness and data analysis, the medium of exam would be Hindi and English. So, the online examination would consist of 140 objective type questions where the overall marks would be 200 divided into 4 sections. There will be penalty for wrong answers. For every wrong answer, 1/4 of the mark will be deducted. However, there shall be no penalty for any unattended questions. Then, the duration of the overall test will be 3 hours with separate timings for each section. Now, there will be no sectional qualifying marks in the online exam. However, there is an overall minimum qualifying aggregate mark, and that is 30% for reserved candidates and 35% for unreserved candidates. The overall cumulative marks will be considered for the final merit list. Now, details of the language proficiency test have been mentioned earlier. Let's move on to the personal interview. Candidates who have cleared the earlier rounds will be called for the personal interview, and it will carry a total of 100 marks. The minimum qualifying marks for interview is 45% for reserved candidates and 50% for unreserved candidates. The weightage ratio of online exam and personal interview combined is 80:20. Now, minimum aggregate score of online examination and personal interview combined will be 30% for reserved candidates, that is how much you have to score, and 35% for unreserved candidates. Those who score this minimum aggregate score will be considered for the final merit list. For your banking preparation, IBS is the best option as we have been providing bank coaching since the last 15 years. This is all about our institute. So here at IBS, we provide offline and online classes, exam-oriented study materials, computer lab facility, library facility, recorded classes, weekly online mock tests, and all of our classes and mock tests available through our IBS Vigyan app. So, for any admission related queries, you can visit our website or contact us on the numbers given.